Welcome to the Patient Advocate CEO Show, real talk for professional advocates. This is where independent advocates build client-funded, sustainable practices and step fully into CEO leadership.
Really excited about this. These are really important things that I don't think are talked about enough. And I want to make sure that, at least in our community, we are aware of them and we are putting these things into practice. Launching an advocacy business is super exciting and it is very rewarding, okay? However, it requires some strategic planning and some realistic expectations, okay? And I don't think that this is a conversation that we have enough in this arena. So we're gonna do it here. So you guys know me, I'm all about my 3 things, right? And so what are the 3 things that I think you must know? What are the things that you need to know to build a solid foundation, build a strong client base, and then stabilize your revenue so that you can continue to grow, okay? Here's the 3 things. Make sure you've got a notebook. You write these down. They're really important. First and foremost, your business is a business, not a passion project. Now, if it's a passion project, that is totally fine. Just understand that a passion project is not a business, and we'll get into that. So your business is a business, it's not a passion project. The second thing I want you to get out of today's call, look, client pipelines do not build themselves, okay? You don't just wake up one morning and you've got a client pipeline running and ready to go. You're going to have to create a steady flow of leads, and we're going to talk about that too, all right? And then the third thing that I want to talk about today is that financial stability comes from repeatable revenue streams, okay? So you've got to figure out how to build a revenue stream and then how to make it repeatable so that you can accommodate the steady flow of leads that you're going to be, anyway, so it's a whole thing, okay? So, but just know your financial stability comes from repeatable revenue streams, all right? So for those of you that are new and may not know who I am, my name is Nicole Broadhurst. I'm a former healthcare administrator turned independent patient advocate, CEO of Tennessee Health Advocates, and creator of The Circle, where I help independent patient advocates create sustainable and profitable practices without the chaos of entrepreneurship. So if that's you, you are in the right place, okay? That's what we're going to talk about today. Let's get into this whole idea of your business is a business, not a passion project. So what does that even mean, right? The work that we do in advocacy is super powerful and very meaningful. But in order to continue, we must become financially sustainable, okay? Because if we don't, then we will not be able to continue to help people. I mean, it is really that simple, right? We'll go out of business if we don't generate sustainable finances. So without a plan to generate revenue, your business is going to struggle to survive, okay? So first and foremost, you've got to put together a plan to generate revenue, all right? Sales and marketing are really critical components of building this practice. Clients don't just show up. You're going to have to actively attract them and then convert them. All right. So there's lots of new advocates who come into this space and underprice their services because they're fearing they won't attract clients if they charge too much. They're going to overcharge and they don't want to do that. So they want to come in low. And I understand. I found myself in the same place 6 years ago when I got started. I was very uncomfortable. But pricing too low actually undervalues your expertise. And it leads to burnout because you're going to work really, really hard for not very much money. And you're going to go, I work way too hard to be this damn broke. And literally, that is something that I heard from a new advocate. I work way too hard to be this damn broke. Okay? So make sure that your pricing is at your worth, right? And we're going to talk more about that. But the bottom line on this is understanding that we are not a nonprofit. We are here to create a sustainable practice, to pay our bills, to actually build a business out of providing this service. And there's no shame in charging for services. Okay. So, what are some actionable things that you can actively do today after our call to get this rolling for you in your practice? So, what I want you to do is if you're new, if you're just getting started, I want you to sit down and I want you to create a really simple but structured business plan with very clear two components. I want you to talk about revenue goals and pricing strategies in order to get to those goals. Okay? We don't need something that's like 25 pages. I know you can go to the SBA and get a business plan guide and work through that. And if that's what you need, go ahead and do that because I know that revenue goals and pricing strategies are in there. And it's the tool that I use to get started. So no shame there. Go get it. If not, you don't need to do all of that. You can literally do a quick down and dirty reverse engineering of your revenue goals in order to get to your pricing strategies. Okay. So I want you to sit down and I want you to really think about how much money do I need to make and how am I going to price my services to get there. The second thing you can do, really simple, set up a client intake and payment process. Like go into Stripe, create your account, use PayPal, there's so many options. You can get QuickBooks, you can use Wave, there's lots of options, but just set something up, okay? You can, as you use it, you can change. I've used 4 or 5 different payment processors over 6 years. You can change, find what works for you, but pick one and get started. All right. The third thing that I want you to do is I want you to learn to confidently discuss your value and your pricing with potential clients. Okay? Because here's the deal. If you can't articulate why you are worth the investment, your potential clients won't see the value either. Okay? So get a buddy, get family or friends, or if you don't have anybody, connect with somebody here in the community, reach out to me. Let's do some role play. Let's have some conversation. How are you going to talk about money with confidence? Okay? Because that, I'm going to tell you something, that more than anything else is going to help your conversion rate. More than anything else is your ability to show up confidently and explain why you are worth the investment. Okay? So if you need help doing that, reach out. Let's do a strategy call. Let's get you started on that. Okay. Now, if you're already established, don't think that you're out of the woods on this. Like maybe you're already established and you're struggling to convert your business from a passion project into a true full-fledged business. And let's be real, that happens. Okay. So if you're already established and you're still struggling to create what you feel is a sustainable business, then it's time to go back and review your pricing strategies. I'm going to tell you, more advocates than I can count contact me, we have a conversation, and during this process, I ask them, so what's your pricing strategy? And they tell me, and I'm like, so we need to raise your prices. Like that is like the first thing we need to do. So go back to the drawing board on your pricing strategy and your service offerings, reassess them, look through them, and look at this based on client demand and your market value if you're established. Okay. If you have that data and you can look at that, then look at that. All right. The other thing that you can do if you're already established and you're looking to create sustainability in your practice, I want you to implement a client retention strategy. I want you to implement a client retention strategy. This is going to help you stabilize your revenue. All right. Now, if you don't know what that is, I'm about to explain it. So I talk to a lot of advocates, and I hear all the time, well, clients come in and I help them and then they're done. And then it's like churn and burn. And it makes my heart hurt. Okay. Because advocacy of all service-based businesses, but especially advocacy is not a once and done service. Okay. I don't care what the problem is. It is never once and done. Okay. If you have a client that has paid you money to provide services to them, it is your job to make them a client for life. That's your responsibility. And when you do that, this is what you're going to do is you're going to be creating that client retention. I have clients that have been on service with me for 6 years. Okay? So there is not this one and done, churn and burn, like no. And this is easy peasy money because you've already worked really hard to convince them, not convince, I'm sorry, we don't do that. You've already worked really hard to demonstrate your value to them and earn their trust and develop a relationship with them so that they're spending money with you. Don't let them go away. They should never need another advocate for the rest of their lives. Their family should never need another advocate. You should be the one that shows up every time for them. Okay? So create some sort of client retention strategy. What are you doing? You guys have heard me say multiple times that the easiest thing to do when you need to switch some revenue is to dig into your previous clients and go ask them what's going on. What's happening? How are things going? Everything okay over there? Because chances are that one time you're going to reach out and, oh, gee, they're going to need some help. You need to be there. All right. So there we go. All right. Let's see. I can't read my notes. There they are. All right. The third thing that I want you to do if you're an established advocate in regards to stabilizing your business, right? Turning it into a business, not a passion project, is I want you to evaluate and refine your sales funnel. Oh boy. If you don't have a sales funnel, I want you to book a call with me. We need to get you one. Okay. This is literally your sales pipeline, which we're going to talk about in the next point. But if you're established and you don't have one, that's probably one of the things that's causing you some problems. Okay. It's probably one of the reasons that you've got ups and downs in your revenue cycle. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not great. We need to get some stability in there. But if you have one, if you have a sales funnel, then I want you to get in there and I want you to refine it and I want you to evaluate it. I want you to look at where do you lose prospects? Where are your leads drying up in your process so that you can start to work on that pain point and improve your conversion rates? All right? All right. You know, I always want to tie everything back to our pillars, be, do, and have. That's where this sits. I want you to work on your mindset of being confident that your work is valuable and worth charging for. Okay. I want you to commit to showing up and doing by creating that structured business and sales plan. Okay. And then having this whole idea of managing your resources effectively, I want you to have a pricing strategy that really does reflect your expertise. Okay. All right. So that's the first thing. The second thing that we're going to talk about here right now is listen to me good. Those client pipelines do not build themselves. All right. I currently get anywhere between 5 and 7 new leads every single week. Okay. It's taken me 6 years, but I'm there. I'm getting one almost every day. Okay. Now, again, they do not build themselves. So it's not like I'm sitting here saying, I get 5 to 7 leads every single week. And I don't know, it just happens. No, it doesn't. I don't care what anybody tells you. It does not just happen. They don't just show up. Okay. There's a lot of work that's got to go into building that pipeline of leads. Okay. So the truth is, most advocacy practices fail due to inconsistent client acquisition. Okay. What that means is I get new clients. I got 5 new clients this month. I get 0 next month, 0 the third month. Oh, I get 6 the following month. Okay. That's why things really fall off, is because we get busy. We have new clients. We get busy. So we stop working on the sales pipeline. And then when we finish with those clients, all of a sudden we're finished with those clients and there's no new ones coming in because I wasn't able to do the work. So we have to figure out how to kind of stabilize that activity, right? This is why you hear me talk about marketing is not optional. All right. We have to have some sort of strategy, some sort of marketing strategy. And so we have to be building that. And it's not optional on my calendar. Okay. So the truth is, like I said, we get here between 5 and 7 new leads every single week, which are really strong. And marketing is still time blocked on my calendar every single week. Okay. That is not something that I am able to say, oh, we're good. I don't need to do that this week. That is not real. I don't know who says that's a thing, but it is not real. Okay. You must have some sort of marketing strategy on your calendar. You must be doing something every single week because those clients, that pipeline, that sales pipeline, those client leads, they are not just going to show up. You got to do something. Okay. So, got to do something. And quite frankly, the most successful of us have a multi-channel approach. Okay. We have multiple things we're doing in marketing so that we're generating referrals from lots of different places, lots of leads from different places and different times. It's again, we go back to do not put everything in one basket. However, well, that's a whole other thing. But just know as you grow, because I'm also a huge proponent of start small, do one thing, get really good at it, and then add another thing. Okay. So when I say successful advocates have multi-channel marketing efforts, we've been here for a minute. Okay. We've already established our revenue. We're consistent. We're not going anywhere. We know what's going on. And we've been able to outreach into our marketing efforts. All right. So let's see. If you're new, let's get into some actionable strategies. What can you do after this call to kind of make this work? Okay. First thing I want you to do is I want you to really think about who you want to work with. Okay. So a lot of times you'll hear this called the ideal client, but I don't want to be too cliche, right? But it's your ideal client. Who do you want to work with? And why is it important to know them? It's important to know them because you have to speak to their biggest pain points. For example, for me, I love to work with medical bills. And you know what I know about my ideal client? They have a box, a drawer, a bag of paper that they never want to look at. Like they've just, like it comes in from the mailbox, it goes straight in the drawer or the box or the bag and under the bed, and they never want to think about it again. That is a huge pain point because I also know about my clients that they literally have a hard time falling asleep at night because they're concerned with what's in that box, that bag, or under the bed. Okay. They're worried about it. They just don't want to look at it. That's a huge pain point. And so, in a lot of conversations that I have in my marketing, I talk about, hey, do you have that box or that drawer or that bag? Don't feel bad. Everybody's got one. That. So be thinking about who it is you want to work with and what their biggest pain points are so that you can start speaking to them and bringing them comfort around their pain points. Okay. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to really sit down and I want you to develop a very, very simple lead generation strategy. Okay. One thing, very simple. I want you to create something. It can be a free consultation. So if you offer a free consultation, I want you to regularly be talking about your free consultation. Okay. And driving and encouraging people. You heard me say earlier in this, if you want to talk about this, get on my strategy call. Let's have a strategy call and let's talk about it. I was to my free call to talk about what you need in your business. Why was I doing that? Because you'll be a lead for me. Okay. So I want you to do the same thing. I want you to have something that you are leading everybody to bring them into your world so that you can start having conversations with them. Okay. So it can be a free consultation call. It could be It could be a lead magnet. So maybe it's a PDF that you want to give away in exchange for somebody's email, right? You could give that away. Anything to bring them into your world. Because if people are not in your world, they'll never buy from you. It's just not going to happen. So you got to figure out how to get the people close to you. Okay. All right. So again, it could be a free consultation, it'd be a lead magnet. Hey, you know what? There's lots of people that do the Care Partner Project presentations in their community. Again, another way to get people to connect with you and get into your world so that you can have direct communication with them. Okay. If you're established and you're still building your pipeline, or you want it even better, here's what I'm going to tell you. First and foremost, what I said earlier, get into your past clients and ask them how things are going. Do they know anybody that needs your services? Can you get them to do a testimonial for you? Anything at all to stay in front of people who have already spent money with you, know you, like you, trust you, and will refer to you. Okay? Because as human beings, we talk about the things that are in our mind, top of mind. And if you, as an advocate, are not staying top of mind for those that you've served before, you're not going to get referrals from them. They're not going to tell people about you because they're going to forget. It's not because they didn't like you. It's just because they forget, because we all forget. We get busy, right? So it's your job to stay top of mind with those people. So I want you to go back. I want you to talk to past clients, get reconnected with them, ask them for referrals, ask them for testimonials, whatever that looks like. The second thing I want you to do is if you're established and you're looking at building out or continuing to build out your sales pipeline, I want you to be developing relationships with other or partnerships with other professionals. Okay. Start to leverage people who are already serving your clients. Some of the ones that we hear a lot about in advocacy are elder law attorneys, financial planners, healthcare providers. I'm going to tell you that I don't do that because that's not my jam. I'm not good at it. I just don't. So my professional relationships are usually other small business owners. Okay, I'm getting in front of other small business owners, people who run businesses, have small teams, struggle with health insurance coverage, that type of thing. That has worked really well for me. Don't limit yourself. Literally look at the world and look at who you've already served. Who are they? Where did they come from? Where do you find more of them? Where do they hang out? What are they doing? Okay, so for me, I have noticed over 6 years, most of my clients are men. They are sons who have been charged with the financial aspect of their family's healthcare. Okay. So I'm looking for guys. I'm looking for men. I'm looking for mid to high level CEOs. I'm looking for people who actually, I happen to know a lot of my clients golf. Again, when you are working with your clients, ask personal questions so that you get to know them better. Okay. So golf clubs are good for me. Golf courses or whatever, those types of things are good for me. I will also tell you that I have a very large Jewish clientele. And so I'm not opposed to partnering with Jewish foundations and those types of things. Again, pay attention to the people who are spending money with you. Find out who they are, where they live, who they hang out with, so you can get more of them. And do not limit it to elder attorneys, financial planners. I'm not saying they aren't good. Those are great. Those are great. If those are your people, go get them. But if they're not your people, then look at other options. There are other options. Okay. And then the third thing that I want to say is if you're an established advocate and you're still looking to develop your sales pipeline and get some consistency, start working and creating content that positions you as an expert. Yes, this is going to be social media stuff. This is going to be blog posts. It's going to be webinars. It's going to be short form videos. It's going to be Q&A sessions. It's going to be, all of those types of things. Again, the whole goal of this is a long game, right? We're creating the sales pipeline to last a long time. And so what we're trying to do is to become the person in that person's world that they ask about healthcare or medical care or medical bills or diagnoses or whatever your specialty is. Okay. That way, when they need somebody, they're like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Angie's always posting about that stuff. I need to go ask Angie about that. Right? And I get referrals like this all the time. All the time. Okay. All right. So those are those things. Let's see. And then the third one, again. Oh, this one's fun. Okay, so financial stability comes from repeatable revenue streams. Okay, so here's what I want to say. One-time consultations will not sustain your business for long term. One-time consultations will not sustain you. They're just not going to. Okay, why? Because of what I said earlier. It's a one and done. That's not what we need. We need some sort of recurring revenue through ongoing service models. Okay. So you can offer memberships, you can offer subscription-based offerings, you can do flat fee, you can do hourly, you can bring them on for, so many hours, whatever that looks like. But you've got to set it up so that there is at least some sort of life cycle for your client. Okay. Because you need to bring them on. Now, we're going to talk about this in a minute. One-time consultations, paid consultations, absolutely have a place. We're going to talk about it in a minute. Here's what I want to say, though. If you don't stabilize your cash flow early, growth is always going to feel like an uphill battle. So you need to stabilize it early, which is one of the reasons that I'm a huge proponent of membership or subscription type service offerings, because it allowed me within the first 2 years to actually hit stable revenue where I had enough money coming in every month that I was making money and able to start reinvesting into my business. Okay. The earlier you can do that, the easier growth feels. 6 years in, I'm always looking for opportunities to grow and where I want to grow. And it's very strategic, but I'm not concerned about not making expenses at this point. That's not my concern. It was early on, right? And I want to get out of that mindset just as quickly as possible. And that means I have to stabilize my revenue. So even though, and you guys have heard me share, even though that meant early on, like I worked really hard for not that much money until I got to the place where I was like, oh, wait a minute. I can raise this price. It was enough. It was enough. I don't know who's heard this story, but my story is that my husband and I, when we quit our corporate jobs, we agreed to put $2,500 a month a piece into our checking account so that we could sustain, so that we could just live the way that we wanted to live. And it required us to do that. Okay. Which isn't huge, but that was what we agreed to. And so I reverse engineered $2,500 to figure out how many clients I needed at such a price point to meet my $2,500. When I did that, when I got my 10 clients at $500 a month and hit my $2,500 a month that I was putting into my checking account, I realized I was working way too hard for that money. I was just working way too hard for that money. And that's when I was able to start increasing my price and really start getting some traction in my business. Okay. So priority 1 is to get clients. Priority 2 is to stabilize revenue. All right. Okay. Again, we don't want to be operating paycheck to paycheck. We want to get that stabilized as much as possible. So if you're a new advocate, I have some suggestions. You know me. I want you to be able to take some action right away. So if you're just getting started, I want you to sit down and I want you to start with 2 service offerings. Okay, just 2. Just 2. I want one of those to be a one-time consultation, a flat fee, one-time thing. Typically, this is what we see with advocacy. That first flat fee consultation includes a time with them. You meet with them either by however you want to do it, Zoom, virtually, in person, whatever it is. It's a meeting of some sort where you just take in all the information and then you use your brain and you come up with a plan of action for them, right? And so they're paying you to listen to them and to create a plan of action. So at the end of that conversation or consultation, they can take the plan of action and go do it themselves. Because let's face it, there are a lot of people who are DIYers and they're going to be DIYers, right? But you deserve to get paid for the way that you process the information and provide them with the action plan. So do it. It's a one-time consultation. It's totally fine. However, there are also many, 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 many more people in the world that are not DIYers. Okay. They are going to look at that action plan and they're going to be like, you want me to do what? Okay. So, yes. So you're right, Angie. Absolutely. Because that's the thing. So I was just going to tell you, like, I'm going to share with you how we do that. So you do the thing, you give them the action plan. Oh, you're great. You can go do that. Love it. Let me know how it goes. Right. And a week later, you call and follow up. Hey, did you get that done? How did that go? Yes, I close more sales like that than you would care to imagine. Yes, absolutely. And then there are also the people who are like just from jump. They're like, they look at the action and they're like, I can't do that. How much will you charge me to do it for me? Right? So your first offer is a paid consultation. Once and done, give them what they need, get them on their way, and keep them in your sales pipeline. Did you hear that? Keep them in your sales pipeline. Because just because they did the consultation does not mean that they're done. And here, I'm going to tell you a story because you know I love stories. So I did this. This woman came. She needed some help with something. We did the consultation, gave her the action plan, followed up with her. Bam, it worked. Like she got it done. It was great. Continued to follow up. A year and a half later, she emails me out of the blue and she says, "Hey, this is something happened and blah, 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 blah." And I was like, "Oh, you know what? I think Terry, have a good one. I think we need to do another strategy call." And so she booked another strategy call. She paid for that consultation and boom, it worked again. So guess what? She continues. I'm still in touch with her. Her name's Tiffany. She's adorable. She's young. She's really good. She could do this work if she wanted to. I've told her before. I was like, if you ever want to get into this, let me know. You'd be great. Anyway, so again, have this one-time offer, but then also have that second layer, right? Like, what is that you're going to sell them into? Use that consultation knowing that you're going to have some people that take it and they go do it themselves, but then you're also going to have some people that want you to execute it. So whatever that service offering is to execute the action plan, have that ready. Okay? Have it ready. And it does not have to be like, you don't have to know every single little tiny thing about it. Just know in your head it's going to be an hourly with a five-hour retainer. It's going to be, a package deal for 6 months at $500 a month. It's going to be whatever that is. It doesn't have to be published anywhere. You can just have it in your head. Okay? So, all right. So have those two. If you're new, again, remember, I want you to price on value, not on the time spent. I hear a lot of advocates that get really caught up on flat fee pricing because, oh my gosh, what if I only charge them for 4 hours and it takes me 6? Boo-hoo. Up the price next time. Like, that's just how that works. Okay. You do it on the value. If you believe that it's a $750 value, you charge $750 and you deal with it. And then you look at the data later. And if it needs to be upped, you up it later. Okay. But base it on the value, not the time. People say, I have several flat fee projects that I have based over 6 years. I know that there are certain things that take me about 5 hours, give or take. Right. And so I charge like $750 for that service. Now, what if I get done in an hour? Doesn't matter. Just means it was an easy case for me. It doesn't mean anything other than that. And it doesn't mean it was worth less than $750 because again, there's going to be somebody down the road that comes along and I sell them into that package and I'm like, holy crap, it took me 10 hours to do the work because it was a lot harder than I thought. Oops. Again, watch the data and the average later. That's what's important. All right. Let's see. If you are established, what are we going to do? Here's what I want you to do if you're established. I want you to diversify your services. Okay. It doesn't have to be something that you publish, but you've already started with the consultation and then you sell them into this other thing. However, now I want you to be on the lookout for opportunities for other revenue sources. Okay. So you might have worked with clients long enough that you do the consultation, you get them into an hourly package, you finish the work on that scope of hourly package, and now it appears that they're done, right? Because you've already completed everything. Like I said in the beginning of the call, you're never done. You're never done. So it just looks like you're done, right? So the next thing that you do is you look at, okay, so I've had several clients that we've done this kind of work and then we finish the contract and man, I think it would be helpful. I need to ask them, would it be helpful if I contacted you once a month and we had just a 30-minute call to debrief and see how things are going and check in on things? And if they say yes, you start tick, 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 ticking. How do I create something that I can charge some money to keep them on my revenue, right? So that I can keep in touch with them so that I can keep doing this. I don't know what that looks like for you. For me, I have clients that are on like a $250 a month package deal where it really is just me touching base and maybe checking their portals every month to make sure that their bills look good. Okay. Yes, there's lots of folks in Dallas Fort Worth. Yeah, actually, you know what, Janet, reach out directly. If you go in, I can tag you. I can connect you guys inside the circle. I'm sure you're talking about Angie Galatas and Deidre Kindred and some of those other folks. All right. If you're established, so you're going to diversify your services. I want you to also think about creating a tiered service structure. Okay. So, for example, for the longest time, the only thing that I really offered was a flat fee consultation and my $6,000 6-month package. Okay. That's the only thing that I offered for a long time. And then I started getting these calls from patients that I'm like, man, it doesn't make sense for you to invest $6,000 to get me on board. Like, that doesn't make sense. What can I do that would be an easier price point for these people that call me with lesser issues, right? So I devised a DIY path where maybe they don't feel comfortable doing it on their own by themselves, but they would feel comfortable if they had regular contact with me to just kind of coach them through the process. So that's a different package. Okay. So start with the most expensive service first. The complete white glove, done for you service must be the first one you do. Why? Because that's what's going to stabilize your revenue. But if you're established and you've already done that, now you can start looking at developing other tiers of service to increase your client base. All right. Okay. And then the last thing I'm going to suggest is if you're an established advocate, I want you to look at automating some of your financial tracking, right? Look at some of your QuickBooks, your Wave, your Harvest, your whatever. I want you to really look at automating as much as possible in there to get rid of some of that admin time. I know inside of QuickBooks, I can have it connected to a lot of my stuff. Like I can have it connected to my Stripe account. So when a transaction happens in Stripe, it automatically moves over to QuickBooks so that I don't have to do that manually. I want you to do that because it's got some admin time. It's going to save you some admin time. Okay. All right. You can also, there's other things that I wanted to share with you resource-wise. Again, the SBA has some great resources. Look for a small business development center, SBDC. Usually they're located in like community colleges. That's where mine was. So look there. They've got some great resources. I want you to look at Profit First. I cannot tell you how helpful that accounting method was for me personally. It allowed me to really get into paying myself and taking my profit out of my business first, and then making strategic reinvestments in the business. But it really did, like I said, my husband and I made an agreement. I had something I had to uphold. So I had to start putting that money in the checking account as quickly as possible. And Profit First allowed me to do that without jeopardizing my business. Okay. So I suggest taking a look at that. There's free software. Wave is a great free software. My husband uses that for his business. Think about that. All right. So key takeaways from today's session. Patient advocacy is a business, not a hobby. Make sure you're treating it like one. Consistent lead generation is the key to creating stable revenue and growth in your business. And then financial success comes from strategically pricing and from strategic pricing and repeatable revenue streams. Okay, those are the top 3 things. So I know we have covered a lot today, and I hope that you feel more equipped to lay the groundwork for your profitable and sustainable practice, and knowing that the key takeaway is that success isn't about just being a passion, but it's about taking strategic action. So you need to approach your practice with a strong business mindset, a consistent client acquisition plan, and a financial strategy that ensures longevity so that you can serve all of the clients and patients out there in the world that are waiting for you to show up. So I know implementing these strategies can really feel overwhelming at first. So if you'd like a personalized support, I invite you to schedule a 30-minute strategy call with me so we can work together to identify your customized strategy.
If today's episode helped you think differently about your work, don't stop here. Independent advocacy doesn't grow through more information. It grows through clarity and execution. So your next step is simple. Join us inside the weekly Advocacy Power Hour for free practical training every single